Yes! Welcome to the Zagami show, 24 minutes past the hour. Don't worry, we will recover a few minutes because we have been preparing for you a great show. Where is my American pin? We don't have it.
Can I get it? I can get it.
Yes, please. Okay, so this is the Zagami show, our weekly rundown of our geopolitical events all over the world, and there is a lot to talk about. We have just published on leozagami.com 2 articles. One of them has some exclusive news that nobody, to my knowledge, has yet relayed, and that's basically that the former Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party has been forcefully removed basically by Xi Jinping. Oh, you can't find it. No worries, Christy.
It must be on your jacket.
Okay, no worries. Hey guys, I couldn't start without my okay. The music, the soundtrack of the show, the opening theme, how you want to call it?
Intro.
But before the intro, we have to have the voice that introduces the show. That deep voice that says,
and now, live from Palm Springs, California, your host, Leo Zagami.
And Christy Zagami, ready, here we go.
We're here. 1 minute.
Now, the sponsors, Christy, is a name that you should communicate to me. Did you send it to me? Do we have it? Yes. First of all, of course, Giuseppina Pina Caero and then Jeffrey Giampalmi. These are the 2 sponsors of today's show. Hi everyone. So it's Leo, it's Christy Zagami, ready for this great show. We would like also to thank those people who purchase my books, our books, because Christy also has a couple of books, her own Confessions of an Illuminati Princess. Why don't you purchase them? This way you can support the show. If not, you can become one of the sponsors, like the 2 people who have kindly offered you this show today. We have the Fetterman intro, with the Fetterman face. And do you know the story of Fetterman and his wife? His wife is Brazilian. She was in a yoga retreat one weekend, and she suddenly saw on the internet an article talking about Fetterman in some lost little town where he was a mayor in Pennsylvania. She decided she loved this guy immediately. But what is it to love with this guy? He's such a weirdo. But in any case, she seems to be the one in the driving seat, dear Christy. She's worse than AOC. Good morning, Bruce. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Kate. Good morning, Polly. Good morning, Janavi. And good morning to all the people who are tuning in from all over the world.
Can I say something?
Christy, please. First of all, people are complaining. Why is Christy behind and I'm in front? This is the format, but it's also because Christy, in reality, is next to me.
We start out like next to each other, but then I start to get like lazy, and I move around a lot, and I move my chair, and I move myself, and I move my mouth, and I fidget, and we end up with me back here.
You fidget.
I fidget, and then I sit back, and when I sit back in my chair, I'm like this because I get lazy, so I have to sit up. If I don't sit up, people think I'm like sitting behind you.
But in any case, guys, what's your business in all this?
He is not telling me what to do whatever. I do what I want.
That's it.
If you can't see that, I don't know. You must be blind.
Here in California, Southern California, like everywhere else in the United States, we are going towards another election. And here, of course, in Southern California, it's completely rigged, like in the rest of California, this predominantly Democratic state. They not only rig the election by basically not showing you any alternative candidates from the Republican Party. But when they talk about them in the local news, it's like, he's a Republican, he's dangerous, like the desert sun here, no? And then you have, for example, here, the guy who wants to go to Congress, Greg Wallace, is called by the Democrats wishy-washy Greg Wallace.
Wishy-washy. Voting for wishy-washy.
We are watching, and then on top of that, I'm just going to make you an example, because this happens probably in other states which are predominantly Democrat. You don't get anything through the post from the Republican Party, but you get, and I mean, you are a Republican, registered Republican for many years, but this is what you get. Basically, a record of, here, of course, I canceled the rest, but this is the kind of how you call it? How you call this?
Propaganda? I don't know.
This is not a normal kind of propaganda. They are basically accusing the Republican candidate of corruption, a 29-year record, and on top of that, Calvert is so anti-choice. He pushed the Supreme Court to overrun Roe versus Wade. Ooh.
You're gonna vote for him.
Well, we're going to vote for the Ken Calvert too. This is another candidate. I mean, it's like if you want to know what to vote here in California, just vote the opposite of what they are sending you through the mail, what they are bombarding you through the TV, and you will get the right candidate. Because, guys, the system here in California is so rigged and is sincerely sick.
And everybody, please vote.
Vote to kick them ass. Kick their ass. Kick their ass. Vote to get them out, because it's no point in saying the system is rigged in California and we can't do anything about it. Well, if it's rigged, the more we are, the more we can expose this criminal way. So this propaganda flyers by the enemy, accusing people who might be completely honest of corruption, profiting off illegal deals, totally and completely anti-choice. This is demented. And then you have, these Democrat candidates, they present themselves equity. They're all, into equity, into
progressive
vision. Progressive vision. But because there is a lot of criminality, now they're starting to push their even remote links to the police forces, because remember that all the candidates from the Republican Party, at least in this area here in the Riverside County, are supported by the Riverside County Sheriff, by the police forces. They don't have any support from the police forces, because the whole of California, like Colorado, like New York State, is going to hell because of their progressive policies. So stop these idiots. And I'm not doing it because I'm getting any money from these candidates. I don't even know them. I'm not even part of the political game yet, because, as you know, I'm not yet American. But wait, the moment I get American, I will kick their asses from here to Washington. So, guys, let's continue, because we don't want to become like China, where people are, of course, forcibly removed from an hypothetical Congress. But this time, removing the former ex-Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party is actually a good thing. Why? Because this Secretary General, former Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party, he has not been Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party since 10 years ago, 2012. His name is Wu Jintao. Jintao was carried away today in the last day of the Chinese Communist Party Congress in a very theatrical way. And of course, the international media has not been able to explain why. But here on the Leo Zagami show, this is the first time you will listen to this kind of thing worldwide. I mean, so you know where it comes first. He was removed because he conspired with George Soros, and there is the evidence, the proof. We have even here a document that was published earlier on this year, in which, of course, they were conspiring with the help of Joe Biden, by the way, to try to remove Xi Jinping, because Xi Jinping, of course, is so they published the famous or infamous, depending, the long-standing think tank Atlantic Council, which is basically a New World Order think tank, has published this longer telegram towards a new American-China strategy, which was basically inviting America and all the people within the military-industrial complex and the political arena to support a change of strategy and a direct involvement in a possible coup. Now, who will be directing this coup? Well, Hu Jintao, I hope I spell his name well, who basically was then removed this morning. That's why this is a very strong message to the Anglo-Saxon-centered, American-centered New World Order by the Sino-Russian New World Order, which is clearly in control, because look what they did. I mean, he was literally carried away today, and it wasn't a pleasant thing for him, and the media worldwide are talking about it. Check it out. He obviously doesn't want to leave his position, and he even tries to pick up some notes from the table written by Xi Jinping. Guys, this is an unprecedented move that, by the way, shows that George Soros can't make it in China. There is no George Soros in China. He can try, but these people are tough as nails. So his attempt of taking over the Chinese Communist Party completely failed. Look what happened.
The other guy's sweating.
All done in a very, how you say, in a very Chinese fashion. It's very
Communist China fashion.
Yeah, like you just brought out, and of course we know we're never going to see him again.
Yeah. You gonna do anything good?
Who?
This guy.
No, he wanted to put China in the direct control of George Soros. It didn't happen.
Oh, well, I'm glad. But whatever.
Well, we can say that they are all evil. The Sino-Russian New World Order is no better than the Anglo-Saxon, American-centered New World Order. But in this case, we have to admit a certain sense of pleasure to see that this guy, who was conspiring for months with Joe Biden and George Soros, got kicked in the ass. Please share this video. And of course, I invite everybody to also check my website, www.leozagami.com, where you can find our latest articles. Now, the latest articles which I published not only include this, of course, event which we have just envisioned, but also leozagami.com offers you an article on the latest decision by the Vatican to renew, of course, on the last day of this important Congress of the Chinese Communist Party, the Vatican renews their secret agreement, the secret agreement that really brings brings the Chinese Catholics to become almost slaves of another state institution, because this is no longer a faith that, of course, at the time of Joseph Ratzinger had also an underground church that was really alive and truly Christian. Now embracing the Vatican means embracing a deal, a contested accord that doesn't care about bishops nominated by Communist China. I mean, what kind of apostolic lineage can a bishop nominated by the Chinese Communist Party have? You know, what is an apostolic lineage? Do you know what an apostolic lineage is? I will explain. Now you have Jesus, you have Peter, and then from Peter onwards you have all the popes, and they bestow upon them the lineage to the various bishops, and then nominate the pope. In turn. So you have 2,000 years of this system. Suddenly, in China, they started to make their own bishops. So what is it? From Jesus to Peter to Karl Marx to Mao Zedong to the... It doesn't make any sense. But in any case, from 2018, when this deal was made, that's when the Chinese started to increase the persecution of Christianity, remove crosses from the churches, and this, of course, now can continue thanks to a renewed deal. I talk about this event also in this book. I talk about that Chinese lady that was, then there was...
She grabbed the Pope's hand.
Yeah, there was this scene in St. Peter's Square. So, I see that you're not many today. I guess that you have better things to do, but please share this video because it's very relevant and very important. Subscribe to all our channels, also the emergency channels, because you saw what happened after they closed down our last channel. We just keep on losing subscribers because, especially, I must say, in the English language, they don't get this emergency channel system.
Which we're pretty shadow banned, Maureen.
Yes.
They don't see the channel.
Yes, that's true.
I know, because I don't see it.
But we want to request, however, your support. If you want to see us, of course, once or twice a week, you can do it by supporting us through donations that can be sent through Fundly, Cash App, and GoFundMe. Here is GoFundMe. Like I said, we have also Cash App. I'm going to put the GoFundMe now on the screen just so you see it. I'm going to also put the Cash App on the screen so you see it. And I'm going to put also Fundly. But it's important, guys, that you support the Leo Zagami show in one way or another, so we can move on and pay also the expenses that, of course, incur in producing a show these days, because electricity, guys? How is the electricity bills this year? Okay. We are seeing electricity bills that are really incredible. People can't really make it. And in Italy, imagine this, guys. If you think it's bad here in America, in Italy, 6 million people this month were not capable of paying their electric bills, meaning they will have their electricity cut to the minimum. I mean, they will probably allowed to have one light as an emergency if they are really that poor.
How does that work? How does that work?
I really don't know. I mean,
if they cut the electricity, they won't have any light.
I mean, I really don't know. But there is, imagine they have calculated that by next year they will have 15 million people, not 50, but 15, which is basically already a large percentage of the Italian population, which is 60 million, in complete poverty. So this happens because Europe is, of course, in this embracing this green new BS, this great reset that, of course, with the excuse of the crisis of the war. Zelensky every day asks for money, more money. In the meantime, Russia, of course, has been subject to the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage, has avoided the Turk Stream sabotage just by pure chance. And now there is a possibility that no Russian gas at all will be sent into Europe, because China will probably purchase most of it. So this is what's happening in Europe. But what's happening here in America is not much better, because then we have a president that this week was, of course, once again, completely out of his mind. Yes. Out of his mind. There is one guy who beats him, though. I have found one guy who is more demented than Joe Biden. In New York City, yes, that's sorry, I know it's your city, but it's a shit. These days, in the hands of Satanist, communist, leftist, and there was a guy in the subway who's basically beating up a naked mannequin, inviting her to sit properly. What? I guess that this guy here could compete with Joe Biden.
Sit down, Wilson, sit down.
The mannequin is called Wilson.
Sit down properly! Why you wearing no pants today? Let's fucking wear no pants, Wilson! No bad spirits next to me? Why are you recording that? Seriously? You have some, Wilson, have some! Why are you recording that? Wilson, have some!
This is 49th Street.
I've been drinking all day, Wilson, have some! I'm not fucking playing with you, Wilson! Have some! I fucking said have some! I fucking said have some, Wilson! Fucking Wilson! The fuck? Wilson, make me drink all day, Wilson! This fucking play! Fuck!
This Afro-American was very upset with his white mannequin, Wilson. What do you think about it, Christy?
Oh, no.
I mean, it's like, why did he get so upset with Wilson? Huh? Why not get upset directly?
Maybe he took the...
But I mean, this guy is no better than Joe Biden and Joe Biden's fans. You want to have a look to Joe Biden fans, because guys, these are the typical Joe Biden fans. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. PST. These are typical Joe Biden fans. These are the people the left loves, the Democrats endorse.
Fuck you! Fuck you, fucking white cracker! Fuck you!
Now, these are the kind of people that talk about white privilege. These are extremists of the woke culture. To all these people, I say, get a good psychiatrist or retire on a mountain and get exercise. But in any case, purchase Volume 7. You might learn something. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. I don't understand why you're not sharing this video on your social networks of choice. But
I told you not to get on them today.
But you have to. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to become like these people.
You ugly piece of shit! You look like you got your teeth knocked out, you fucking fascist! Nobody knows who you are and nobody cares, and you will die alone! You will die alone and you will burn in hell!
They're really showing themselves to do really well. Come on, man.
Come on, man. And of course, Professor Biden. Yeah, this is the latest. Biden claims now, and let me straighten this up because we need to straighten ourselves up. Biden has claimed to be a professor, not a normal professor, a top professor. We're going to check this out because, I mean, some things...
He's a professor now?
Yeah, of course. Jill is a doctor. He has to be a professor. One step further, no? Check this out.
He is a president who grew up in a working class family, so he knows the struggles that families face even today. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, for keeping your commitment to help individuals and families across this country.
My mother would say, excuse my back. Hey, everybody. Don't jump. Don't jump. You think I'm kidding. You all think I'm kidding. I'm not. You ever hear her? Whoa. I told you a true story. When I left the vice presidency after Bo died, I wasn't going to get involved in politics anymore. So I became a full professor at the University of Pennsylvania. But before that occurred, 3 universities.
Is he lying?
Yeah, quite completely. This guy's out.
He's lying?
I'm a full professor at the University of...
He's a University of bullshit.
Well, I mean, he's a university of bullshit. At least I could claim some university. Once I teach at the University of Perugia, the one where... was Amanda Knox?
These came to me and said they wanted to interview me to consider my being a president of the university. My wife, who's a professor at a community college, just...
You see, he's competing with his wife, so he had to become professor too. I knew it.
How does he do all of
2
it?
masters.
And plus, he managed to drive 18-wheelers trucks. He's a professor. He's really an action man. He is the president of all presidents. What an actor, really.
He was in a PhD, when she's smarter than me.
We know that.
She looked at me, she said, if you do that, I'm leaving you. She said, it's one of the toughest jobs in America. They're really showing themselves to do. Whoa. I told you.
Oh. Guys, welcome to the Leo Zagami Show, 9 minutes to the hour. Wherever you are around the world, we would like to hear from you on the chat. And of course, at the end of the show, we will also open the phone lines. But we are showing you the best or worst of Joe Biden this week.
It's all bad.
It's all bad. But we want to also applaud our 2 sponsors this week, which are Jeffrey Giampalmi and Giuseppina Pinachero. Applauses for a sponsor, no? Christy? Huh? Well-deserved applauses to our sponsors. And of course, we invite also to sponsor next week's show. If you want to do so, you can do through GoFundMe, Fundly, or Cash App. And now we move forward with, of course, another event this week, aside from subpoenaing, the subpoena of Trump, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, these people are, of course, a bunch of clowns. The January 6th committee has subpoenaed Trump. They have given Trump until the 4th of November to give his passport, his documents, and then before the middle of November, he will have to testimony to these clowns. I don't know how that's gonna work out. If these people want a civil war, well, they are on the way to get one, and it's just insane what they're doing, because they are trying to not let Donald J. Trump candidate himself for the 2020. It's obvious, that they don't want him for the 2024 presidential election. But the thing is, You don't want Trump, you're going to get even worse, because you're going to get DeSantis, which personally I prefer. I think that he will do even better job. So do you really want to remove Trump? I think that now the MAGA DNA is within the Republican Party. You can't purge it from there. You can't take it out. You can't make the Republicans become Mitt Romney again or become Jeb Bush again. These people are clowns. They were always clowns. The neocons are out of the driving seat of the Republican Party. That's for sure. And of course, Steve Bannon this week, we are seeing now a video that sends a very powerful message, because Steve Bannon didn't show up after he was subpoenaed for this clown show, and he got 4 months. Now, a lot of people in the past, including Henry Kissinger, were subpoenaed and they didn't go. But he got 4 months. Now, he hasn't been arrested yet because the judge has not yet decided his arrest, but he might. And at that point, Steve Bannon replied with his own prophecy, which is that everything will change soon with, of course, the midterm elections.
My direction.
Yeah. Hang on. I want to. By the way, I want to say one thing. I respect the judge. The sentence he came down with today is his decision. I fully respect. I've been totally respectful of this entire process on the legal side. Also want to make one other statement before I talk about a broader topic. More than any person in the Trump administration, I testified before the Mueller Commission for more hours. I testified in front of Chair Schiff and the House Intelligence Committee more than any other person in the Trump administration. I testified in front of the Senate Intelligence, I think more than any, all about the issues related to Russiagate, to all of that, okay? The same process every time. I had lawyers that were engaged. They worked through the issues of privilege, and at that time, I went and testified. And this thing about I'm above the law is an absolute and total lie. Now, more importantly, the judge, today was my judgment day by the judge, and he stated for the appeal, and we'll have a very vigorous appeals process. I've got a great legal team, and there'll be multiple areas of appeal. But as that sign says right there, can we have the vote sign? On November 8th, on November 8th, there's going to have judgment on the illegitimate Biden regime, and quite frankly, the Nancy Pelosi and the entire committee. And we know which way that's going. Either they've already been turfed out like Liz Cheney, right, or have quit like Kinzinger and other the Democrats, or they're about to be beaten like Luria and others, or they will lose their power and become a minority, and Nancy Pelosi and Chairman Thompson, all of it. This is democracy. This is democracy. The American people are weighing and measuring what went on with the Justice Department and how they comported themselves. Know weighing and measuring that right now, and they will vote on November 8th. They will hang on. They will vote. Hang on. They will know. They will know. Can I go ahead and finish? Can I? Thanks. On November 8th, the American people will raise judgment, and we will broom the Biden administration ends on the 8th evening of the 8th of November. And some other thing is that the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, will end up being the first Attorney General that's brought up on charges of impeachment, and he will be removed from office. Thank you very much.
And notice how Steve Bannon was next to a Jewish person. There is always these claims, against Joe Biden. He's always one of those people who talks about MAGAs, white supremacists, and all and people who, of course, are against the Jewish people. In reality, the Jewish people support of course, the ones in the right mind, not the Sabbatian Frankists, not the leftists, not the progressives of the Jewish world, support the MAGA movement, support Donald J. Trump. And there is actually, regarding also the controversy with Kanye West, we still think that he really needs to read my next book. And I hope somebody will homage him with. And actually, I'm going to ask her this week to Roseanne Barry if she can contact him, because I'm sure that Roseanne has ways of contacting Kanye. But I wanted to show you a video of a rabbi who actually said exactly the same things I said. So it's very interesting to find finally a rabbi who openly says these things, who openly criticizes the New World Order. So I wanted to show you this rabbi who obviously understands the problem here. There is, unfortunately, a bunch of Sabbatian Frankists, which are, by the way, the same people who for the last 100 years have been behind the scenes giving us Hollywood, because people say Hollywood is controlled by the Jews. But which? When they say that, they don't understand which Jews. There is an heresy. I explained this heresy, as you know, very well in Volume 7. I explained it also in Volume 4. And, of course, in the context of Hollywood in the upcoming Volume 8, which is looking good, Christy.
Yeah.
I think that within the next few weeks it's going to come out. It's, of course, a top secret what we have in this book. We don't circulate it in any way. And but it's important to understand that there is an element also in what Rabbi Alon Anava says, which is really important to understand also for us Christians. So check out this very peculiar rabbi.
$3,750 years ago lived an evil man that wanted to rule and control the world. He pretended to be a god. He conquered countries, destroyed nations, murdered millions of people, all for world domination. His name was Nimrod. When all the world bowed down to him, there was one man who didn't. This man fought him, defeated him, and destroyed him. His name was Abraham. 2,608 years ago, lived an evil man that wanted to rule and control the world. He pretended to be a god. He conquered countries, destroyed nations, murdered millions of people, all for world domination. His name was Nebuchadnezzar. When all the world bowed down to him, there was one man who didn't. This man fought him, won him, and destroyed him. His name was Daniel. $3,332 years ago, lived an evil man that wanted to rule and control the world. He pretended to be a god. He enslaved a nation to serve him, locked them in smart cities, controlled by police forces, and applied population control. His name was Pharaoh. When all the world bowed down to him, there was one man who did it. This man fought him, defeated him, and destroyed him. His name was Moshe, Moses. 2,376 years ago lived an evil man that wanted to rule and control the world. He wanted to destroy the Jewish nation in one day. He wanted world domination, population control, and to make sure the elite are in power. When all the world bowed down to him, there was one man who didn't. This man fought him, defeated him, and destroyed him. His name was Mordechai. Years ago lived a psychopath possessed by a demon that wanted to rule the world and to control the world. He conquered countries, destroyed nations, murdered millions of people for world domination, population control, and making darkness rule the world. His name was Hitler, יימח שמו וזכרו. His body was killed, but not his ideology. The common denominator of these monsters was a new world order. Let the strong rule and the weak serve them, reducing the population of the world, controlling the people for their evil agenda, and most of all, to fight God. Solomon says about the redemption, what has been is what will be. The year 2020, we see the same agenda. World domination, population control, smart cities, and digital ghettos. You are soon to be a number. What are you going to do?
Welcome, says the rabbi, but definitely this was a great segment.
I got chills on the end.
It was a very important segment. This rabbi, of course, one of the few that fights, of course, the Erev Rav, the Satanists that unfortunately have hijacked the Jewish people, and now he's trying to explain also in his speeches on the internet how things work out. Let's listen to a couple of minutes of this rabbi.
Third part of this series. I don't want to say the final part because there's going to be much more, but definitely the third part. And before we start, I want to dedicate this class, first of all, for the refuah, for the healing of Shani Bat Ruth and Uri Ben Tamara. Should have an immediate recovery along with the entire...
So as you can see, he's a traditional rabbi. He's also praying and operating for the healing of people that, of course, he support him, I guess. Very interesting what he says in this fragment here.
Who they are. Most people don't even know who they are. And this is a group of men that got together many years ago with one agenda that is called a new world order. A government that will control the entire world. I told you in the beginning of the video about the first Freemason, Nimrod. You think it's something that started a year ago, 100 years ago? Nimrod was the first Freemason that wanted new world order. Nimrod conquered the world. He went against the entire world. And he conquered it. He wanted to control, and he did control the population. He made himself a god. The intro was not for nothing. The next Freemason in history is Paro. World domination, population control, slaves. I'm going to put you in cities. I'm going to make you build cities. You're going to be machines. That's Paro. Population control.
And let's not forget that the guy who is behind the World Economic Forum, which is the organization that more resembles the original Illuminati order or Bishop these days, is of course Harari, and he's Jewish. But what kind of Judaism? That's why I'm showing this video today. I want people like Kanye West, or people who have a lot of confusion regarding the nature of Judaism, to really study this book, study also volume 4 of my confessions, and the upcoming volume 8, to really understand this heresy within the Jewish world, and to understand that we are all fighting the same enemy. We can be Jews, we can be Christians, we can be Muslims, we can be Hindus, but the enemy is manifesting for all of us and is going to enslave all of us. Now, Christy, what do you think about the words of this excellent rabbi, which to me remind me also of Monsignor Vigano in the Catholic world, which is really happening these days as a voice that seems really on his own in a desert of lies in the Catholic Church.
I think he's very brave, and I think it's really great that he's saying these things, and I think God will protect him.
Absolutely, and of course, God is with those who really are waiting for his return, and no matter the heresies of the Jewish world, of the Catholic world, of the Islamic world, because heresies are present worldwide, and he's right, he's talking about Freemasonry, because unfortunately Freemasonry is being used for this purpose. But let's continue listening to Rabbi Alona Nava.
Boy that is born, throw into the ocean, to the Yor, into the river. Population control. He made himself a god. Then came Nebuchadnezzar, and many others, and Haman, Hitler Yimach Shemo. This is not something new. Romi is a secret government. It's a shadow government. A government that is going towards ruling the world. They control everything and anything that you know of. They're in governments of all over the world, both the left and the right. They're in the media. All the media is owned by them. Facebook, Google, YouTube, Netflix. Everything is owned by them. They come up with the problems. They come with the solutions. They create wars for their agenda. Everything that you've been learning, thinking.
And that is really also another important point. They create wars for their agenda. So the Ukraine war, the invasion by Russia of Ukraine has been instigated, but also artificially created. The fact that in 2014 there was basically in that period of time a declaration of independence by the Donbass, and Crimea was annexed to Russia, and there was also a lot of political turmoil, was because they were trying to purge Ukraine of any Russian identity. And unfortunately, the Jewish community in Ukraine, which is a big Jewish community, historically important, but unfortunately linked, like the Polish Jews, to Jacob Frank, who was the guy who started Frankism. And Freemasonry is also unfortunately the result of the Erev Rav of these heretics of Sabbatai Zevi, who preceded Jacob Frank a century earlier, and then Jacob Frank said he was his reincarnation. No? So people like Kanye West, needs to be educated. That's for sure. But we all need to be educated, because so many people spew this anti-Semitic rubbish these days. So I wanted to make it very clear to all of them. And I think the words of Rabbi Alon Anava really point out on who the real enemy really is today. So I advise you to purchase, of course, my books to learn more about all this, but also share this video. Share this video, no, Christy?
Believing for the last 50, 40, 30 years of your life, 99.9% of it is a lie. You've been fooled. You've been lied to. They have an agenda to control the world, to reduce the population of the world because we're killing Mother Earth. The agenda is for the elite to rule the entire world. The rest should be slaves, work for them. I'm not going to now tell you the entire psychotic idea behind it. You go and look for it yourself. There's enough information out there about the New World Order. And of course, it comes in many different names.
Very interesting. And so you understand here who we are fighting. I think that Volume 8 will really ultimately be a book that is a lot more important than Hollywood itself. It's about the manipulation, the lies that we have been told, and the way they have been manipulating. Now, Christy, of course, is working on it while I talk. We have been receiving, of course, messages on the chat when it's coming out, when it's coming. It's the first book coming out in dual language. I mean, it's the first time that an author is bringing out a book of this kind in two languages, contemporarily, written in two languages. So it never happened. I never heard of an author bringing out, he can bring out a book and then later it gets translated. No, this time we are bringing out a book in two languages, and it has to be exactly the same in those two languages. It's a nightmare, no, Christy? Especially when you have over 1,000 footnotes.
I'm on note 600 right now. And there's just so little, and it's very, very
but
difficult.
it's going to be a book that's going to finally reveal who are the enemies of humanity and how they're operating to rise the ideology of the Antichrist. And a lot of things that you didn't know about people, the Hollywood magic from Charlie Chaplin to Brad Pitt. I mean,
you've talked about it. Well, I don't want to say anything about the book, so I'm trying to keep my mouth open. But I'm really excited for everybody to read it. I really am. I think you're all going to be really happy when you get it.
Absolutely. So let's move forward with today's episode, and yet more news from around the world. More news from Joe Biden, who snaps at reporters this week. Jack Dorsey.
Juicy, right?
Yeah.
I like him.
This guy, he has to really have a thick skin to resist to all these attacks that he receives constantly from his own colleagues, supposedly journalists, who are instead just lackeys and slaves of Joe Biden. But he is kind of trying to challenge every time Biden, and this time, see what happens, because it's quite interesting.
Mr. President, can you help us out just really quick? What is your top domestic priority? Is it inflation or is it abortion?
Mr. President, are you going to tout this new law?
Thank you, President.
Are you going to tout this new law in Georgia,
in Wisconsin,
in
Nevada, in Arizona?
Thank you all very much. We're going to be getting
and
back
tout this bipartisan infrastructure law.
Thank you all very much.
Just hoping to clarify for midterm voters, top domestic issue, inflation or abortion?
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing. It crosses the board. Domestic, ask me about foreign policy too. There's multiple issues, and they're all important. And so, and we ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You know that old expression. Thank you. Thank you.
How should President Xi receive today's announcement with these?
He just doesn't want to answer anything. He just
Dark Brandon.
Like Bruce
Brandon.
said, doddering fool.
Dark Brandon. They
They
call
call it,
Brandon.
yeah. What's about that, Brandon? I mean, this guy is bankrupting our nation. We made an appropriate title today. But when you ask the people like Pete Buttigieg how Biden is working, this is the kind of lies that you get, the propaganda. It's so obvious that the guy is doing a bad job. But listen how Buttigieg answers here about the economy. Strong as hell, citing Joe Biden. He says the economy is strong as hell. I mean, when you say the economy is strong as hell, well, you are in hell here. Huh?
The president said this week that the economy is both strong as hell, but also if there is a recession, it'll be very slight. What exactly?
I think the economy is in hell. It's different. No? Getting it wrong.
Is the forecast?
Well, look, I mean, forecasting is by its nature something that is a little bit uncertain. What we know is that...
That's political spin.
Well, look, I don't think anybody could argue that, for example, our unemployment numbers are anything but strong as hell.
Yeah, strong as hell. Buttigieg, why don't you just give up on politics? Go with your husband to raise your children. I don't know where you got. But in any case, this is what the left has to offer. Lies, lies like this one. It's like this flyer that is basically sent to everybody saying that the Republican candidate is a crook. They don't really have any proper opposition here, because here, at least in the Democratic strongholds like California, Colorado, there is no opposition.
It's like we heard recently that Palm Springs is a one-party.
Yes, one-party system, because 5 years ago, the last Republicans left. There is not even an
abandoned the
office.
ship.
Yes, they moved to Palm Desert, which is basically next door, because here, this town is in the hands of 50% LGBT community that I don't understand why is supporting only the left. So they deserve the end that will all the leftists end up with, which is a bad ending. Because, I mean, this is like not going to end up well for these people. God is sending his son again for the Christians, sending the Messiah for the Jews for the first time, arriving even for the Muslims is once again Jesus. And then they're going to be kicked ass, meaning they will die. There will be so much blood spilled on this planet for Armageddon. I don't know if, I mean, are you going to be able to do you have the stomach for it? Because it's going to be a slaughterhouse, guys. God is not going to have compassion in the end times. It's not written in the book that he has to have compassion. It is a slaughterhouse. I mean, do they understand this? Or somebody understands it? Because
I don't think so. If they did, they wouldn't be doing it. I don't think they would. I don't think they think that if they don't believe in God, then maybe he doesn't exist. So I think it's going to be great.
You think it's going to be great? I'm pretty scared for the majority of people who simply don't realize what it means.
That's their problem. I mean, if they don't get what they see right in front of them, then it's their problem. I think they need to find God. They don't have God, and so they're listening to the lies of the devil. And I don't think God will abandon them, though. I don't.
No, well,
God always gives chances.
No, not in the end times.
Not in the end times. No chances. So if you screw up, you're screwed up forever.
Yes.
Well, y'all better fix yourselves. Not you guys, but just like all of them.
Now, let's just focus a second on the arrival of Joe Biden at John, what's his name? Fetterman. What's his name? John Fetterman?
Fetterman.
Yeah, Fetterman. Everybody calls him Fetterman, but his name is what? It's John Fetterman. Yes.
Fetterman.
Yes, John Fetterman. I want to show you a second when he basically arrives. Watch this guy. For the first time, he wears a suit, but he has no neck.
Aw, but you're making fun of his looks more, eh?
Well, I mean, this guy is a joke anyways. I can make fun of him. Remember that this is the controller, his handler. His wife, that is not even an American citizen, arrived from Brazil. Now is thanks to him, an American citizen. She suddenly discovered him, I don't know how, on the internet during a yoga retreat. I mean, that's a little bit weird. So it's not about the looks, apart from the fact that he doesn't really understand what people say around him. He needs captions. Joe Biden doesn't understand what he's saying. He needs captions too. So the two are not really communicating. It's actually Joe Biden communicating with his wife. And then when Joe Biden goes on stage, he makes a mess. He doesn't understand what he's saying. He starts giving numbers. We say in Italy, giving numbers when you're going insane, basically. You're just giving numbers. Well, check out how he gives numbers, Joe Biden, when he visits Federman.
Over $1.2 billion.
What? Sorry?
What did he say?
What did he say?
Over $1.2 billion.
It's a trillion billion.
It's confusing. It's confusing. But it's not the only sign of dementia. This time, Joe Biden has really reached. I mean, I think this week he has won an award for dementia. That even most of the Democrats are starting to say this guy is completely out of it. He is so out of it, especially in an interview with the MSNBC, which is like the most leftist of leftist tool. Check it out. Incredible, guys. Incredible.
I have not made that formal decision, but it's my intention. My intention to run again.
Oh, he wants to run again. So the decision to run again. By the way, Jill Biden has said he actually endorses the husband running again. But doesn't she get as a doctor that is not really for a guy affected by dementia? No?
Made that formal decision, but it's my intention. My intention to run again. And we have time to make that decision.
Dr. Biden is for it. Mr. President. Oh.
Dr. Biden thinks that, my wife thinks that we're doing something very important.
I don't know, guys. I mean, it seems like we're really reaching the twilight zone. I mean,
It's just
it's sad to see a dementia guy in charge of a country which is supposed to be the #1 country in the world.
end times for you.
End times for you, definitely. But this week, we saw also something else. Susan Sarandon, who is a very popular Hollywood actress, very much a libtard, very much a leftist,
Pretty much.
published this video on Oakland, which is apparently, I mean, when I saw this video, I said, this is worse than Tijuana. Makes Tijuana, which is a shithole, looks like a great place.
Oh, I didn't see this.
So let's check Susan Sarandon, who publishes on her own TikTok this video this week. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show.
How is that Oakland? Where is Oakland?
What do you mean, where is Oakland? You're not American.
Did we drive through Oakland when we went to Sacramento?
Oakland is a city in California. And yes, it's in the east side of San Francisco Bay. So we might have passed it on our way to where we were going.
Whoa.
To see a city here in California looking like some kind of African city, because, I mean, you go to Africa and you see this kind of towns.
Yeah.
And you are like, this is a third world nation, Africa. But this is not a third world nation. This is supposed to be a rich state called California.
So who's running that town? They're not doing
Democrats.
a good job.
Democrats have transformed Los Angeles. We went there and we saw how many.
I haven't been to Los Angeles in a long time.
Yeah, and it was already a shithole when we went in 2019. We refused to go back.
We went one time and I didn't want to go back.
Because it was full of encampments, people, and no wonder all the Hollywood people, because Hollywood is a neighborhood of Los Angeles, are leaving Los Angeles. Now, people like Julia Roberts, people like Nicole Kidman, and many others are leaving a city they have helped destroy with their propaganda, their bullshit, their Oscar nominations to feel important. This is the Leo Zagami Show. We hope that you share this video with everybody, your friends, families, everybody, because it's important that they see what's going on. And I mean, Joe Biden is ruining this nation, but when you attempt to get it better, to get things better, you might also have crazy leftists coming to stab you or trying to stab you. Now, this happened on a bridge where there was something very important happening because Mark Finchem, who himself is a candidate, was trying to do something, and he suddenly found himself threatened with a knife in the middle of the day, just for putting a banner on a bridge.
We have a permit. By the way, guys, we need a permit. We have a permit. It's in the car. Show it to me. Come on down. Show it to me now. Show me the permit. I'll stay right here. Okay, but you can't be vandalizing the stuff. I'm not vandalizing. Show me the permit. Okay. Yeah.
So you know what you have to do on the 8th of November or before the 8th of November? You just have to vote, change things. Hopefully they will change. Otherwise, I see an inevitable problem here because between the subpoena to Donald J. Trump, between this nation being bankrupt by Joe Biden, we are obviously witnessing a situation that could end up with a civil war. And we always said we don't want a civil war, but that's inevitable when you have two different nations here.
And we're the only country that can actually do this. It seems like everybody lost their guns. So.
Well, and last but not least, Canada. Let's go to Canada, guys, where today Justin Trudeau tells us that basically guns are a thing of the past in Canada. This guy is an enemy, of course, of true freedom-loving Americans. And he is, of course, best friends with Newsom. And just to show you what butt buddies do.
In May, our government introduced measures to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. Today, our national freeze on handguns is coming into force. From today forward, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada.
Canadians, you can have your rebel news, you can pretend that you are rebelling, but you're just as chicken and cowards as the Italians or the Europeans. Let me tell you, I come from Europe. I know how they are ending up. You never had your revolution in Canada. 1776, you were there bowing down to the king or queen, at that time the king.
So what are they going to do?
If the Canadians don't rebel now, they're going to live in a controlled society that is going to simply be a reflection of communist China. And this image, I'm not going to comment this image because we can't comment on this image, because don't comment this image, but Canada can continue worshipping Moloch. 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 We have to stop the cult of Moloch. Remember when in Rome in the fall of 2019, they came with this statue that stayed for the initial phase of the pandemic. People are still worshipping Moloch to this day. And that's really what the rabbi is telling us.
Freemasons, okay, that's the lower part of the organization. Then you have the Illuminati, a higher level of them. Then the Kabbalah, the higher point of the pyramid, with the eye of Satan looking through it, and above the Kabbalah. Ooh, there's many levels that most people don't even know. Now, to most people that know about the New World Order, they're missing one big component that we already knew 4,000 years ago. That the head of everything is the Samech Mem, or as they call him, Lucifer. They worship him. He exists, he's real, and he has a whole army behind him. Some people, they call it the reptilians, yeah, because the Samech Mem is a reptile who came into Gan Eden to poison Adam and Chava. Now, I'm really not going to go now to all the agenda behind it and who and what, and I'll leave this to you to sit sleepless nights and go and figure this out. But the point is that Malchut HaRish'ah, the kingdom of evil, that we pray 3 times a day, by the way, in Tfilat Shmona Esrei, U'malchut HaRish'ah me'ara te'aker, v'tishaber, v'temager. What do you think we're talking about? You think we're talking about a government of Israel or America? Malchut HaRish'ah is the kingdom of the Samech Mem that is fighting the existence of God. They have a lot of literature. You can read it all. They're not hiding anything at this point. And let me tell you very quickly their way of thinking. They're thinking that Lucifer is the god of light. Our god, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is the god of darkness. He brings all the problems to the world. Adam and Chava were serving him. The Nachash, the serpent, went into Gan Eden to tell them who's the real God. And they served him as the master. This is not the Christianity that is worshiping Jesus. This has nothing to do with it. This is a whole different thing. And for years, this is not in the last 10 years, thousands of years, it's a secret society, a secret government, a shadow government. Every government in the world has a secret government behind it that run the show. If you think that the president, the prime minister, you think they're doing it, they're puppets. 100% puppets.
Puppets of evil. Puppets of evil. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy Zagami. Christy, what do you think of today's show?
I really like that rabbi.
Definitely somebody who is also very much, though, in line with the same kind of phrases we heard from Monsignor Vigano, apart from the fact that, of course, we are trying to fight the same enemy, all of us, regardless of our faith. We are Christians. We are Christians. And of course, even if we are of Jewish origins, we are Christians. Wanted to share, though, this moment with you, with this rabbi, because I think it's important to understand that we are all on the same boat. So let's pray together. and let's try to make the Leo Zagami show more relevant. We will be, at the end of the month, finishing up on our project for Volume 8. I mean, the first couple of weeks of November, we will then get it all done. And at that point, we would like to come back on YouTube at least 3 times a week, like we used to. But we can no longer do that without your support, because the cost of living, the cost of the energy and everything else, it makes it impossible for us to just come here freely and talk to you.
I want to say something.
Yes.
Because when you were doing your show yesterday,
yes,
you did that for free because we didn't get any donations, and then you were running the air conditioner, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm watching the money just go.
Well, that's why we said, and then we received something though for today.
Yeah.
And we want to thank our sponsors, Jeffrey Giampalmi. This is Jeffrey, yeah? And Giuseppina Pina Caero. But please support us through CashApp, GoFundMe, and Fundly, so we can bring you many more shows, and maybe in November we can come back full on with an informative and important, relevant show, because I think that my perspective, the perspective of my wife, are perspectives that are unusual, mostly because we have had a direct experience of confronting the New World Order, and we had to flee Italy because of that. I came to America because I was forced to do so, but this is how the founders of this country came here. The people who discovered and founded this, not discovered, because on the discovery of America is a lot of confusion and propaganda from all sides. But when it comes to the people who put together the United States of America, they were rebels. They were rebelling against those people in Europe who, of course, are still there in charge. The evil that emanates from Rome, it's a big one. It's a big one. We were actually watching yesterday evening the Netflix series dedicated to Emanuele Orlandi, the Vatican girl, and fine. I'm glad they made a series, even if it's on Netflix. I was trying to convince Oliver Stone and his son in particular, to do that 10 years ago. I'm of course, because I'm a friend of Pietro Orlandi, who is the brother of this girl who disappeared many decades ago in the early 80s and was never found again. Emanuele Orlandi was also cited, of course, in my books. I talked about in my books. So it's important that we try to find an answer to the disappearance of Emanuele Orlandi, because that answer will probably expose this mountain of lies that is today residing in the Vatican. No? And for the Jewish people, maybe one day we will finally have an answer regarding that famous menorah, which is laying in the vaults of the Vatican. But we are reaching the end times, so we will all get our answers sooner or later. Some say Big Anom doesn't convince me. Some say maybe another person doesn't convince me. But in the end, we are here now, facing the end times all together. Somebody says, your English is very bad. Sorry, my friend.
That's so rude and mean. Why don't you just go away?
It's supposed to be a pastor. This guy.
Oh, well, you're just really Christian, aren't you?
Well, we blocked it. It's blocked. We block people. If they don't understand me, I'm sorry. My accent might be thick.
You only can speak one language. He speaks two, so stop criticizing. It doesn't matter.
In any case, please check out my books, especially Volume 7, but also the upcoming Volume 8, also Christy's books, and we will, of course, have some phone calls soon. But before the phone calls, I want to share with you a scene from a show, a TV show I think, let me see in which country was actually this happened. But I mean, it was an incredible scene, because you're going to see something happen when a theater actress collapses in studio, the star of a musical called El Principito, the Little Prince. And the country, I think, must be Spain or South America. I'm pretty sure that we will be able to find out where this show was broadcast. But the scene in itself, no, a lot of people injected themselves with things. They should have been maybe smarter. Now the results are coming in. And we can't say more about it now, because of course censorship, for those who tell the truth today, is especially when you're talking about of course viruses, vaccines and all that, they are immediately on your back.
Yeah.
So we don't claim here to do any kind of medical info or anything, but we are just watching the facts. Check this out.
Divino ese show, ese espectáculo. Aviador, ven para acá. Cuéntanos un poquito. ¡Ay, cuidado! ¡Ay, Dios mío! Algo le pasó. ¡Ay, algo le pasó!
¿Qué pasó?
Pasó algo a ella. Ayuden.
¿Estás bien?
Alguien que nos ayude. Vamos a dar una vueltica rapidita.
Oh, that was kind of a fall from grace for the actress from El Principito. Looked like a drag queen, but in reality is an actress in this musical. And apparently she suddenly collapsed. But people suddenly collapse these days. It's not unusual. It happens in all walks of life. The program host called Carolina Soto, of course, went over the person and started to say, oh my God, something happened to her. But this, I repeat, is not going to be unusual for those people who made a choice in life. And, that choice, of course, goes with consequences now. You might not agree with me, but that's another thing. Okay, we are, of course, moving towards the phone calls. And so at this point, I open the phone lines. No, Christy?
Yeah.
This is one of Christy's favorite moments when we open the phone lines. We are saddened by the fact that still a lot of people have not been able to find us. But they are gradually coming back. Please advise any of your friends who doesn't know where to find the Leo Zagami show, no?
Mm-hmm.
To tune in and subscribe to the new channels which are at disposal, and also to find us on Facebook, because we are also broadcasting on Facebook today. Okay. So we are ready with the phone line. I'm going to now give you the phone number. Do you remember the phone number, Christy?
No.
You don't remember it? Huh? You don't remember the phone number?
6369.
970-6369,
something like that.
You should memorize it. At least you don't have to go and search of it every time. Okay, I'm having a little bit of difficulties here because I have to find the phone lines, the numbers here.
There it is, 577. That's it right there.
Okay. So here's the phone number. And if you're calling from the United States, is of course without the 1. If you're calling from outside the United States, it's +1 970-577-6369.
I had the beginning and the end right, and then I got the middle right later.
That's not bad, huh? See if I can put a bit more fresh air here. We are still suffering from a heat wave in Southern California, never-ending one.
It doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. Please call us 970-577-6369. Welcome. Oh, sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
Sorry, you click on them.
Okay, yes, I pushed the wrong button.
Please
Sorry.
call back.
Call back if you want. Let's try to stay focused because I do a lot of things here, and in the arranging this show, I don't have a crew of 50 people working for me like other colleagues of mine. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Leo and Christy. It's me, Shelley, from Wisconsin.
Okay, welcome. So what's your question today, and did you enjoy the show?
Oh, I loved it. I just love you guys.
Thank you
I
so
just
much.
want to thank you again for risking your lives and your fortune.
Thank you very
I
much.
don't
Thank
have
you
a
very
fortune anymore.
Well, yeah.
We risked that and
And
left
I
it behind.
love you guys together. You're so in love, and it's so beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, what do you think about Joe Biden and the way he's conducting us towards the abyss? You think the 8th of November will really be that turning point, like Steve Bannon said?
Well, I read the Bible, and I really don't think it's going to change anything.
You think we are too far ahead with the end times?
The Jewish community has been usurped, same as the Christian community has been usurped. If you look back in history, even like at the beginning, way back, even in Bible times, in the Old Testament, even some of the Jewish people, they worshipped the devil.
Well, of course, we discussed in my books the Erev Rav faction that went out with Moses, who was partly not even Jewish. Part of them were actually Egyptian high priests and others who had joined Moses in leaving Egypt. But the moment he went up to receive Mount Sinai, he came back after receiving the Ten Commandments. He found them worshipping the golden calf. It wasn't really a great start. And so from there on, things really didn't go much better. And later on, we had the birth of the Sabbatean Frankists. But there is, of course, great rabbis like the one we saw today that, of course, represent real Judaism. And we have so many great Jewish people that follow us. And our broadcast has really a lot of supporters from the Jewish world, and we are very glad of that. But regarding Kanye West...
I mean, you're right, Leo. You're right.
Well,
whatever Messiah everyone is waiting for,
Well, yeah, the people need to, first of all, they never need to forget that Jesus was Jewish. I mean, they have this, at times they forget. They need to understand that it comes from there, and then of course now we are waiting for at least for us Christian for his return, or the Jews say for the arrival of this Messiah that hopefully will be anticipated because their official schedule was a little bit further. But I think that we are seeing all the signs of the end times, and like you said, politically speaking, there is not much you can do when everything is heading that way, no?
You're right, and I think we just need to love each other and love Jesus Christ, and I feel sorry for people like Kanye
West,
because he's dividing, just like what happened in Germany. It's like a dividing the Jews against the Nazis, and that's the same thing that's happening here in America, like the Jews against the Christian nationalists, and it's all a psyop. It's all to divide and conquer, and we just need to love each other and love God.
Well, I mean, it happens also with it happens also with the African American, no, because Kanye West is also kind of pushing that kind of black supremacy almost, which unfortunately we have seen in artists like Jay-Z already, or even his wife, Beyonce, that black supremacy, which basically it's almost kind of, I mean, we see it. This black supremacy is all over the place these days, guys. We have to be honest. Unfortunately, the problem today, in today's society, is not white supremacy, which is restricted to some idiot groups of neo-Nazis that are all infiltrated by the FBI and are manipulated in every way possible and imaginable. The real problem here is black supremacy, guys. Because it's pushed also by a lot of music artists, cinema artists. I mean, they're pushing this black supremacy, and it's obvious. We see it even in movies from Walt Disney or Hollywood.
Everything's changed now.
And I mean, with all the respect to black people, but there is here a big problem, because even Martin Luther King warned us about the dangers of black supremacy, and they are not taking this seriously. And even before him, Malcolm X warned us about this problem with with black supremacy, which is just as bad as white supremacy. Yeah?
Any kind
of supremacy. Nobody is superior to other. We are all the same in front of God. This, of course, is what we need to realize. So thank you so much for your call today.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Please call again in the future, and of course we will keep our phone line open for yet more calls as we go towards the end of the show. +1 970 577 6369. This is the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy Zagami, and we are of course discussing today's theme is Joe Biden, of course, bringing us deliberately towards the edge of bankruptcy. For all of us need to become bankrupt because it's part of this great reset. We understand that. Then you have, like I explained in this book, the evil philosopher of Klaus Schwab, who wants us then to integrate ourselves with the machines, to embrace transhumanism. This is unfortunately where they are heading for. The mark of the beast is a reality. Microchipping the whole population is a reality from 2025 onwards. Believe me, from the moment in which you will see big lines of people queuing up for getting microchipped, you know that's the moment in which you have to prepare for direct confrontation with the enemy. You will no longer be able to be passive about it. You will no longer be able to turn the other side about it. Remember that. I warned you. So, just so you know. Kirsten?
You can't be complacent.
You can't be complacent. Yes, you can't be complacent. Because if you continue to be complacent, then in the end, you can't...
you have to find some bravery inside of you.
Yeah.
And, you know, find God, because God will make you strong.
Mm-hmm.
He makes me strong every day. It's because of God that I get up every day and do work and do everything. I say, please, God, help me every day. When I wake up, I say, please, God, please help me. I need your help. I can't do it by myself. And he helps me. Sorry, I start crying. I just love God so much.
Well, this week, of course, God is continuing to manifest through, of course, the different decisions that our world leaders are doing, continuing also this idiotic war that is only the beginning. We know something much bigger that is already probably a third world war that is going to fully manifest with maybe China is going to invade Taiwan, but in any case is already there, and it's conducted because it's pushing us towards the Great Reset that Rabbi said earlier. To eliminate part of the world population, you need wars, you need famine, you need all things that are manifesting. In the year 2023, guys, famine will reach proportions never seen before. The problem with the fertilizers will make millions, hundreds of millions of people move and create instability worldwide. On top of that, we have the war. We have a war which, of course, is going on in Ukraine, but it's getting more and more aggressive every day. And we have already discussed, the 12, how many bombers, nuclear bombers that were parked near near Norway by Russia. And now, of course, we had this week also the son of confidant of Vladimir Putin, who basically was caught in Norway spying, using drones in the Svalbard Islands, and basically preparing for what a lot of people have in a way. I mean, we have to understand that Russia might invade Norway. It's close. It's bordering with Norway, and at the same time, the head of the it's bordering with Norway, and the head of NATO is Norwegian. So definitely, and we had also seen a few months ago in which you had this consul, this Norwegian consul, diplomat, official diplomat from Norway, who was shouting, insulting the Russians, really in a way that is not very diplomatic. So we have, of course, some trolls here that come on every now and then on the chat, but we quickly eliminate them. Okay. So Norway is preparing for an eventual conflict, but the whole of Europe, in a way, is preparing for a very cold winter, and it's going to be the coldest winter for Italians, who will basically be told to turn off their heating, not using their electricity so much, means reducing also their heating. And we know that Italy is sometimes very cold.
Oh yeah.
So without the heating, without the gas, without the electricity, I mean, it's gonna be a nightmare. But
people don't really think Italy is that cold. They kind of think it's a warm temperature. It's not like Germany. I lived there for 10 years, but it can get, some of those parts can get very, very cold. And then the weather is a lot colder. So,
in any case, going back to what we just discussed, I've picked up on an article discussed regarding the Jewish people here in America. The HuffPost has published this article, which I would like to show you. We can maybe comment together, guys. The guy who makes the comments is Alan Dershowitz. Says he has won Trump, Jews won't vote for him. Now, with all the respect for Alan Dershowitz, I don't really respect all this guy. This guy was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein in his big mansion, in his island. The guy's a pervert. He might be a great law expert, lawyer, whatever, but to actually warn Trump that Jews won't vote for him, I don't think that is the problem. Says Republicans are terrible at human rights. The prominent attorney who is Jewish told Donald Trump. But this is a complete lie. This guy is not to be trusted. Alan Dershowitz, in fact, when I see him every now and then, I used to see him. I don't know if he's gonna, but I see him often at Newsmax. And it really bothers me because this guy, let's say, he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's not the kind of guy that I trust in any way. But like I said, Trump said something that was, of course, immediately criticized. But let's not forget that Trump has a daughter who is also married with the Jew. He has basically Jewish grandchildren. It's incredible how this situation has really brought us to discuss things that are simply absurd, to criticize Trump, like the New York Times is doing in this article. In a 2021 video, Trump asked, "Is this a good Jewish character right here?" The Trump made bigoted remarks about Jews and Persians at an event in 2021 in a new video provided by a British documentary filmmaker. BS. Now, I don't say that Trump is the perfect man, or is a saint, or is a prophet. Very far from it. But he definitely is a guy who has done more for America than any other president, because as he is a billionaire, and is somebody who doesn't really need the money like Obama or others, he is being more difficult to corrupt by the elite. And he is his own man. He is his own person. Let's see the comment here. Dershowitz is tainted with heresy, leftism, and Sabbatian Frankists. Absolutely. Not a wholesome person. His so-called Judaism is to me a superficial fraud. This is said by a Jewish person, which is Bruce Cody. So, I mean, this is basically... Dershowitz also says, Creator Good said that Trump, that's already prompted some red flags not to trust him. Dershowitz is not to be trusted. I find Dershowitz really I don't know, guys. Anybody who hanged out with Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, and the whole lot is just not the kind of person I will hang out with. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand why in the past they gave him, Trump gave him even any, no? I mean, to even have him close to him in the past, that was a mistake. I think that it happened to me, guys, in the past. I've been a bad judge of character in the past, of people I let close to me. And I think this has happened, though, repeatedly by when Trump, how many people have betrayed Trump during,
I know, he had the wrong people around him.
Crazy.
They come around, though, when they think you're going to do something that can help them, and they come around and they try to do whatever they can to get whatever they can.
Mm. Now, guys, this week, Biden's carousel of dementia on full parade. Before we end up today's show, I have to show you this because it's very funny, and I think we all need to laugh. And at times, Joe Biden is the perfect guy we can use to laugh.
I would like to start out and say thank you to President Biden.
You know, how about this one? Is this working? We're going to try like the devil to keep you from not having to. Just 9 months ago, January 28th, 2022, I was about to leave the White House on a snowy day. The bridge behind me collapsed 100 feet straight down to Fern Hollow. I'm coming back to walk over the sucker, literally. Fully paid for by the federal government. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. These guys behind me know that. None of them were here then, I don't think. Not a joke. No, I'm not joking. I mean, for real. But along the way, we stopped doing that. We're back on track, and I'd be a president for all the American people. Everyone. Not a joke. Nothing.
Oh, yes! Well, yes, at times I must say it's funny, at times it's frightening because he's the president of the United States. And this week, while Biden was going around parading his dementia, Vladimir Putin instead went to see his own troops, especially the young troops who are going to Ukraine. Now, he went there, and he went there showing that physically he was in great shape. Imagine that the Western media had the courage to say, oh well, he put glasses when he was shooting at the thingy, al poligono. I don't know if you say at the
shooting
range. The shooting range. He was putting glasses to protect himself because he was using a machine gun. After he did this he said, okay, let's go and shoot. He went to shoot, and the Western media had the courage to say, oh, he's old because he's wearing glasses to shoot, to protect his eyes.
That's so stupid.
I mean, I don't see him weak, frail as Joe Biden. Sorry. It's not a question of being a fan of one or the other, but no. Somebody says, Leo, do you have super chats on? No, we don't have super chats on because we have been banned from YouTube 17 times. This is our 17th channel. And so we don't have the possibility of putting super chats, money, you can touch the icon and goes automatically. We don't have all that. If you want to help us, you can do it with Cash App. You can do it with GoFundMe. We can do it with Fundly. We are no longer, of course, on PayPal. We have been banned by PayPal how many times?
I don't know. 20. Many.
many times. 7 times, I think. So six. So we have been banned by PayPal more than anybody else in the world. We insisted, and we were amongst the first one to get banned. Nowadays, apparently PayPal doesn't let you really even close the accounts because they are afraid of people leaving the platform for how shitty they are. In any case, like I said, we use Fundly, and we welcome your donations. Rambo, what's up with you? Ready? He's ready. Well, we are all ready, and we are ready to go, of course. But remember, before we go, we have the solution for inflation. Of course, this is the most sick thing I ever had. The solution for inflation for the Democrats, in particular this Democrat, is abortion.
What?
Yes. We want to close the show with this insult to human intelligence.
I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but while abortion is an issue, it nowhere reaches the level of interest of voters in terms of the cost of gas, food, bread, milk, things like that. What could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child. And so it's important for us to have both and conversations. We don't have the luxury of reducing it or separating them out, but we also have to talk about what a governor can do.
They're really showing.
So this is the solution for inflation. Thank you for following us. This was the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy. Yes.
Bye.
Okay, guys. Basically, yes, the submarine effect. That's what's the problem. Happens. It's not our problem, unfortunately. It's the problem of my computer. It's the problem of the software that is used by StreamYard that unfortunately affects the system. But now it should be okay. Okay, this is the music for the end of the show. Loud and clear, because they want to hear loud and clear. Okay. Christy's 2 books. Volume 4. Volume 5. Volume 6.66.
And soon, Volume 8.
That's going to be a great one to have on your shelves for Christmas. It's a perfect gift coming up for you. Volume 8. Take care. From Palm Springs, California, this was the Leo Zagami Show.